young? Or am I faking on the tip of my tongue? There's a sarcasm waiting for you. I'm willing to trade my soul for a bit of your charm. There's no way I'll fade into oblivion, 'cause I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. There's mud on the floor, disparate people trying to get through the door, although the room's already crowded. But I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. Zeros, everybody's trying to be heroes when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. And keep trying again. I'll keep shining over you all with your wings entwining. You better face the fall. Zero, everybody's trying to be heroes when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. Are you okay? I'm not that sure.
Hello, welcome to the Flatout Racing Network, and we have a show for you tonight. We are at Bristol Motor Speedway, the last great Coliseum, for an elimination race for round number 1 of the Great Lakes Truck Series playoffs, and I'm joined in the booth by Mr. Elliot Henderson. How are we doing tonight, Elliot?
I'm feeling really good about tonight. It should be a really fun race.
Well, it's definitely going to be fun for us up here in the booth, but I don't know about those drivers down there on the track. This should be a lot of fun. We're going to have 32 drivers for 200 laps here in this elimination race here at Bristol Motor Speedway under the lights. This is going to be wild here for the Patti Engineering 200. And let's take a look at the standings real quick before we get started on our lineup. Coming in today, that bubble is really close, as you see it there on your screen. Right now we have a tie for the bubble spot between Gavin Fitzgerald and Hunter Madalinas. Hunter Brittle's only 1 point out. Jake Miller, 8 points out. Shane Neiswanger, 9 points out. You have Daniel Nanny, who's 14 points out. And Michael Sensi, who's basically eliminated unless he gets the victory here tonight. And I don't think Sensi is actually in the field tonight, so he would be out of the running. But a lot of those drivers are still not locked in as well. Only Lawson's the only one locked in with that win last week.
Yeah, the interesting thing to note is Nanny qualified pole. So the guy that comes in here the worst off is starting off with the best case scenario. The question is, can he keep it up there for 200 laps and handle that?
And you mentioned Daniel Nanny. He is the pole sitter here today. Put down a great qualifying lap in that number 30 machine. And then on his outside in that second spot, it looks like it's going to be Ashton Lawson, last week's winner. You see these drivers coming down pit road. They're all going to be taking a look to see where their pit boxes are, because this is a dual pit road, so it does get awfully confusing.
And as they do that, we'll keep going through the field. Zach Henry making another truck start will line up third with Justin Mons to his outside in fourth. Solid start for Mons tonight.
In the third row on the inside, we have Tyler McClellan coming off a great run last week, and Jake Miller on his outside looking to get himself into the next round.
Jacob Bransky will be rolling off seventh with Ross Brockman in eighth.
In the next row on the inside in the ninth spot, you have William Barbagelata, a.k.a. Mr. Excitement, on the outside looking to get into the playoffs. Only 1 point out is Hunter Brittle in the number 10.
Five-time this season, Hunter Madalinas rolls off 11th with Nick Hansen making a start 12th tonight.
Shane Neiswanger starts off in that 13th spot looking to get himself in the next round. I saw him on Twitter earlier today. He's willing to do whatever it takes to get this win here today, so watch out for that 49. And then on the outside in the Walmart Great Value Toyota, you know him, you love him, Matt Daniels.
Matthew Durr rolls off 15th, Mr. Consistent over the year, with Jordan Gonzalez coming back 16th tonight.
In the next row, in the 17th spot, you have Sam Hoff on the inside, and on the outside in the 18th spot, it's Gavin Fitzgerald, who's currently on the bubble.
Duclos will line up 19th, with Eric Keph lining up in 20th.
In the 21st spot, it's Lewis Woodall, and then in the 22nd spot on his outside is Steve McLean.
Dustin Visser rolls off 23rd, with Aiden DuPont in 24th.
In the next row, on the 25th spot, you have Justin Benda, and then the outside in the number 76 is Anderson Bowen in the 26th spot.
Kyle Nogel will roll off 27th, with James Shiflett in 28th.
In the next row, you have Gabriel Truesdale and Brandon Barkuski in the 29th and 30th spot.
And Jacob Manning and Kevin Wattler, not setting times, will roll off 31st and 32nd tonight.
We're going to go green flag racing here very soon. These guys are running a couple extra pace laps, giving us time to get through all the trucks in tonight's field, as we do have a big field tonight. 32 trucks around this small track, the last great Coliseum for the Patti Engineering 200. And this one is going to be more than fun, at least for us up here in the booth. Like I said, these drivers down on the track might not agree with us, because they might be involved in some accidents here today. I don't know if we're going green this time, but it looks like we might be going around. We're going around one more time, it looks like.
Couldn't see lights, but I guess we'll just keep going here. I think we're in for something pretty interesting. I know producer Jeff's going to be a little bit busy trying to work them cameras, because I know we're going to have probably a lot of stuff going on at the back of the field or at the front. These trucks are super loose at the beginning of the run, just with the cold tires and low temps. So on the first lap or two, honestly, I expect to see some guys get a little out of shape. It might cause some issues, but hopefully as the run goes on, they'll be able to work themselves in. It'll be multi-groove, but I think the outside's going to be where they're going to end up going at the end of the day.
That's the thing I like about Bristol nowadays. It's multi-groove track. It used to be all about the inside, and at one point it was kind of all about the outside, but really just depending on where you are in the run, inside or outside. But the pace truck's going to pull off, and we're going to go green flag racing in the Patti Engineering 200, and a great start from the Phantom Machine for Daniel Nanny. He's going to immediately jump up high in front of Ashton Lawson, and here comes, looks to be Zachary Henry in the number 77 right there behind.
And Zach's going to make a move to the inside. You've got Ashton right there to the outside. I see Matt Daniels getting loose at the back. I'm not sure if he caught that or not. Oh, Barb around with Hunter Brittle.
Oh, wow. And there's another spinner. Is that Gavin Fitzgerald, it looks like? Oh, man, he got back racing, it looks like.
There were a lot of instances back there. There's something that happened back with Sam Hoff and Justin Benda, I believe, too. I think Benda caught the wall here pretty hard.
Some playoff implications right there. Hunter Brittle just outside the bubble. William Barbagelata is not locked in by any means. And Gavin Fitzgerald, he's on the bubble. We're going to try to get you a replay on that incident that had just happened on the racetrack so early on in this race, and we're already having a wreck that has playoff implications to it. This is just craziness.
I think it somewhat started with Matt Daniels getting loose, but this incident up here between Barb, you see him spinning now. Eric narrowly missing that. I believe that's Eric. Maybe it's Matthew Durr. Just missing that, putting Jordan Gonzalez on the outside wall. Gavin Fitzgerald comes away with no damage, but I think that started with Matt Daniels getting a little bit loose on the inside and backing those guys up, and then everyone was scattering. I'm not really sure the situation that happened between Barb and Brittle. They just looked like they caught each other on corner exit, and ended up really hurting Barb at the end of the day here.
That
But
first look.
Sorry, Jordan Gonzalez caught the wall really hard, though. I think him and Barb are the two with the most damage to look at here.
Yeah, I was looking at that incident. It was really hard to tell the first time we looked at it, but where the incident started from. But Madalenas is right behind them as well, and it looked like he might have caught at least some of it. Oh, great save for Matt Daniels right there. But that was probably the initial cause of the accident, because it just really backed up a lot of the field and just put all these drivers off their game at that point.
Well, if we can get a backup to Justin Benda as well, right after that Matt Daniels deal, him and Visser and a couple other guys drove into turn 3 there and all kind of stacked up. Justin Benda has a good amount of damage. We'll see if we can grab that replay for you potentially. There it is, actually. But watch Benda, look at them all stack up here. That's because of Matt Daniels getting loose. And then watch Benda go into this corner, and they just all stack up again. That's Keph in front of DuPont and Visser making contact and put Benda in the outside wall. So a lot of situations going on with just a lot of trucks. All happened from 1 or 2 trucks getting loose in front.
Just a wild beginning to this race here at Bristol Motor Speedway, but I was kind of expecting that. This many trucks on this small of a racetrack, and it being an elimination race, it just turns the knob all the way to the right. I think we're going to green flag racing this time by, it looks like.
They are off. The lights are off, that is.
Half a lap till we go green flag racing here. The first restart of the day after the first caution of the day. And your race leader is still Daniel Nanny. Nanny, not quite in a must-win position, but definitely needs a great day here today at Bristol. But he would automatically get in with the win, and that's what he's looking to do here at Bristol Motor Speedway. As the pace truck pulls off, and Daniel Nanny's going to lead him to the green flag. The green flag is waving, and there goes Nanny. He's going to immediately once again jump up to the high side in front of Lawson, and Zach Henry is the only guy down low.
Gonna see if anybody gets loose this time. It's really that bottom lane. The trucks don't really work too well down there. There's not a ton of grip at the beginning of the run. They start to get a little bit loose. So trying to get down there, especially from the top lane, is gonna be pretty hard to do. Looks like everybody at the front's pretty smooth at it, and there's no real issue up here.
Oh, getting a little squirrely in the back, but they're gonna keep it straight for now. You just saw it right there with Jordan Gonzalez on the inside. A lot of damage to that number 3 machine. You hate to see that much damage on a truck this early in the race, but we're at Bristol, so he can salvage that and still get a good finish for sure.
Yeah, he was that one that caught the wall early. You can see Sam looking to the outside now, but not a ton of damage considering the track that we're at. It could be much worse, but he'll be able to salvage that. Barb also stayed out, so I think a lot of these guys are just trying to stay in the positions that they're in and not risk dropping back to about 30th here, as we saw a little bit of that battle between Hunter Madalenas and Jacob Bransky. Bransky, of course, won a race back at Michigan, so trying to follow up with that again here at Bristol, but just fending off your 5-time winner this year of Hunter Madalenas, and that's all for about the 7th spot.
Zach Henry's really trying to make this inside work. He's able to make the pass for second on Ashton Lawson. Now he's attacking Daniel Nanny for the race lead. He's on his inside. He can't quite complete the pass, but he keeps on getting to his quarter panel. And Nanny's just getting such a great run off the corner. It's just impossible for Henry to complete the pass.
There's a couple guys that told me that they're going to stick to the bottom of the track. Ashton Lawson looks like he's one of them. And it looks like all of your leaders have kind of migrated down there. Kudos to drivers like Tyler McClellan, Justin Mons up here. Guys that we either talk about that don't have strong runs, or guys that, end up getting into a little bit of trouble. They're running up here in the top 5, making do with what they've got, trying to see how they can last these 200 laps. Meanwhile, Bransky looks like he's closed in on Miller, trying to close off Hunter Madalenas right behind him. It's going to be so hard to pass here, as we're seeing. Oh, McClellan caught the wall a little bit there in 1 and 2, but it's going to be pretty hard to pass here. So these guys are trying to figure out exactly where their trucks are going to run, where they can really try to complete a pass and line that stuff up. Right now, Bransky and Madalenas are really battling this out for 7th.
I'd like to note also the race leaders are about to catch up to a little bit of lap traffic, actually. No, it's real early, but they're still already about to catch up to some lap cars. You have Brandon Barkuski not too far in front of him, Justin Benda, Lewis Woodall. So these drivers could take could play a huge factor in the battles right here, because we already have some heavy battles going on here early in the run with everybody still ganged up.
Yeah, I'm interested in maybe what Brandon's strategy is here. Usually he's a top 10 competitor. To see him running ultimately last right now is pretty interesting. So we'll have to see if maybe he's got some long-term strategy to make this work out.
Oh, Gavin's around! Gavin Fitzgerald! Oh, no! No! His car's up in smoke. And there's his playoff hopes right there up in smoke. Oh, man. You hate to see it. And Gavin's not happy on the radio. It looked like he got spun. It looked like he spun around and then got hit in the door very hard by somebody.
Matthew Durr was in that. Jacob Manning.
Sounds like Sam Hoff might have been involved in that as well. A lot of chatter going on the radio.
Was essentially the one that clipped him going into the corner. Just everyone running different lines. I mean, they were running 3 different lanes, and Gavin just kind of minding his P's and Q's. You can watch Sam go into the corner here. I think Gavin's just trying to set up a pass on Shane. Couldn't get there in that corner. Going to try it again here, and Sam just moves up just a bit. I mean, that's the Bristol line, though. It's hard to sit there and keep it down on the apron. This isn't, this isn't like Dover where you're just trying to keep it pinched down there. You essentially come up a little bit and arc it back down on exit. So just one of those situations. I think Gavin's going to wish that he maybe just stayed in the outside lane if he can watch that one back, because that would have been the better spot for him.
You really hate to see it for Gavin. Just real hard driving early on in this thing. And you hate to see it for someone like Gavin coming into this race right on the bubble. And you see that hard hit from Duclos, and that's going to end Gavin's day at that point. And he's just hoping to get as many points as he can, and hope that a lot of other drivers have trouble.
He's still going, albeit a lap down. We're going to have more yellows, so it'll be interesting to see how quickly he can get that lap back and potentially get going. My fear is, Brandon Barkowski started this race in 30th. He's still 30th. So for someone like that, I would have anticipated driving up through the field. I'm not sure if he's just trying to wait it out, wait until like that lap 50, 60, 70 range, and then start charging. Because again, this is a long race. This is 200 laps. You've got 180 more of these to go through. He's a very smart guy, not going to just immediately send it in there. So it's interesting to see that he hasn't gained anything, and that'd be my only worry if I'm Gavin. Like, if I'm trying to gain positions, how easy is that going to be? Because I haven't seen these guys from the back really climb towards the front yet. The biggest gainer so far looks like, yeah, there's no big gainer, honestly, from my list. I mean, a lot of these guys, Brandon's now 24th, basically, but anybody that started back in the 20s is still basically back in the 20s. You've got Eric, who started 20th up to 16th, but a lot of these guys haven't gained more than 5 or 6 spots. Wattler's your biggest gainer, 32nd to 19th.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. Wattler's definitely been on the move. He's gotten up into the top 20, starting 32nd. He's doing a good job right there. Wattler gotten himself up into the top 20. Kyle Nogel has gotten himself up there in the top 20 as well. A couple of decent movers, but for the most part, you're right, Elliot. A lot of these drivers haven't made up a lot of spots yet.
I'm just having fun listening to some radio dialogue here. Sam and Gavin still just kind of arguing about whose fault that may have been or what the issue was. But we're going to stack them back up, get ready to go double file. We've got Hunter Brittle back up inside this top 10. I think he's sitting about 10th or 12th there. So making some ground on that Gavin Fitzgerald situation. And he sees Hunter Madalinas right in front of him again. That's another point.
We're going to go green flag racing right here. The pace truck's on pit road, and here comes Nanny. Green flag is out. Great start from him, but Henry was pretty ready for that one. A lot more ready than I'd say Lawson was on the last 2 restarts. But here comes Lawson on the inside, trying to get back into that second spot, or at least hang on to third, because Justin Mons on his outside.
Jake Miller had a solid jump there. He's going to get to the back of Mons, but he couldn't actually do anything with it. Speaking of Mons making up grounds. He's to the outside of Ashton Lawson now, looking at Zach Henry. He's like, you guys keep taking the bottom. I'll just take this momentum up top, and I'll try to clear you. Look at him pinch Ashton Lawson down. That's so smart from Mons to race like that. Hold that guy down on the bottom. Don't let him come up the track and just use that whole lane down there. There's a lot of track if these guys enter the bottom and can shift up, just like you saw with the Sam and Gavin situation. pinching him down forces him to not have a corner exit. You can see the massive run he gets on exit there. Jake Miller did the same thing to Hunter Madalinas. And now you've got Mons trying to creep up into third. He'll finally clear Ashton Lawson off the corner there.
We have a couple of spoilers up there in the top 5. Justin Mons and Zachary Henry looking to play spoiler. Like I said, win and you're in to the next round. And if one of those drivers win, that takes away somebody getting in that locked-in spot. So they're trying to play spoiler as best they can. And you see this battle right back here with Sam Hoff. And look at this. Look at Hunter Brittle. He was spun around not too long ago. He's back in the top 10. You know he wants to get into the next round.
Ashton Lawson said he wasn't going to leave the bottom. I think he's starting to rethink his strategy. Jake Miller to the outside now. I don't know that that bottom's going to work this whole race. He's probably just trying to work it in, but Jake is shoving a nose out there, trying to make this pass work. He's got Madalinas right behind him now challenging, Tyler McClellan and Jacob Bransky right behind them, but you can see that Miller has that speed down the straightaways. It's just the fact that Ashton's cut in the corner, he's able to make it work. But again, you mentioned that battle going on behind Bransky here. This is massive back here behind Brittle with Nicewanger. Jordan Gonzalez is up here. Sam Hoff, Matt Daniels, Brockman, a bunch of playoff guys all set up in this outside lane, just trying to work their way through and get to the front as quick as possible.
My opinion on the inside lane, just from my experiences of racing here at Bristol, if you ride that inside lane, if you have the patience, from what I've noticed, you usually save a little more tire down there.
Yeah, it's interesting. We see that Ashton's actually driving back away from Jake, so it may be the strategy. It may just be you need the patience to run down there. The guys that are running up towards the outside may be wasting more tire and actually killing their truck a little bit quicker.
Another driver I've seen that's just stuck to the inside for the most part is Zach Henry, and Zach Henry is stuck right there behind Daniel Nanny. But this battle back here just intensifies with Shane Nicewanger and Hunter Brittle and Jordan Gonzalez. I mentioned it. Nicewanger was on Twitter today saying that he felt that this race basically was a must-win. He's going to do whatever it takes to get this win, and I can see it from him. He's up there in the top 10. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a must-win for him. He would need a little bit of help and have a good finish, but definitely a win would get him in.
Yeah, Brittle's going backwards here. He's let Shane go by. Gonzalez has passed him. Brockman's now around. Barb and McLean are lined up. He has lost multiple spots. Sam Hoff's the same way, but Brittle's running the outside. Everyone in front of him is running the outside. He's probably trying to figure out what's going on here. He's got Watler again, who started dead last in the field, driving up here to about the top 15. So interesting situation for Hunter Brittle, the guy that needed to kind of get just a couple points to get in. Could be an opening for Gavin Fitzgerald to try to come back here if Brittle's going to struggle tonight.
Hey, Gavin, the only good thing about Gavin being off the pace like he is, he's most likely going to stay out of any other crazy accidents that happen. So a lot of playoff drivers could get caught up in accidents, and if this happens, Gavin could keep himself into the next round. Because like I said, he came into this race on the bubble.
Well, we haven't mentioned Duclos. Duclos looks like he's got a bunch of damage. He's a lap down now, running 30th. Looks like he's down on engine power as well as he gets passed by Bransky and McClellan. Shane Nicewanger right there closing in. Not the situation for Duclos. He's very close to that cutoff with Durr, Fitzgerald, and Madalinas all right there. So this could be an out situation for him as well if this goes this way.
Hey, and there's a wreck off too. It's sounding like, I'm hearing on the radio at least. Oh, no one's wrecking. It looks like they saved it, but they're all underneath the line. You see right there. Craziness back here. Wow, Aiden DuPont's going to save it. Look like he got a little bit into Keph's door in 3 and 4, trying to get back on the racetrack. We're going to try to get you a replay on that almost nasty incident off turn 2.
Yeah, it looks like it may have been between Matt Daniels and Eric Keph initially. Oh, it was Butler.
Whoa!
Wow, how that wasn't a yellow and how Eric actually managed to be all right with that is amazing. I know Barkowski drove through that, though. He'll gain a few spots out of it, but all these playoff guys seeming to run into trouble pretty early in this race.
Wow, what a save from Eric Keph. That was a phenomenal save. Right now, he came into this race 11 points above the bubble, so that save right there was huge. Just beyond huge, especially with a lot of these playoff drivers having issues tonight.
Zach Henry battling for the lead. They were just side by side. I wanted to make sure they jumped up there before they went away. Sorry for cutting you off, but Ashton Lawson's also right there on Mons. This battle for second for the lead is heated up.
Yeah, second, third, and fourth really battling hard. Here comes Jake Miller as well. Jake Miller is entering the conversation in the 5th spot. Jake Miller came into this race 8 points outside of the bubble for the next round of the playoffs. A driver that a lot of people would expect to be a shoe-in for the next round. Daniel Nanny as well. There you see him, Jake Miller in the number 4 machine, trying to get up there, trying to get as many points as he can, and maybe even try to steal this win away. Around a quarter of the way through this thing here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Here you see Bransky and McClellan battling back here for what it looks like to be the 7th spot.
Wow, Ashton just sent it down underneath Justin Mons there, really tight. Yellow flag.
Oh, wreck on the backstretch, and there goes Mons, and he's gonna save it. What a save! And there goes Lawson. All of a sudden, I was looking on my screen. All of a sudden, there was a car just sitting on the backstretch and no caution, and the leaders were passing him, and then the caution flew. I was real confused for a second there. Definitely late on the caution there.
Ashton might have some serious damage from this.
Well, Ashton's already locked into the next round, so that's good that he got the win last week. If that's what had happened.
Wow, yeah, I'm not sure. Brandon was backwards for a while. It looks like the 28 of Shiflett. Wow, Matt Daniels and Shiflett got together, and it netcoded Shiflett really hard.
Take a look at the replay right here. Looking at Brandon Burkuski right here as he's right behind the incident that had happened. It looks like Shiflett gets up in the wall and just contact between himself and Daniel. Shiflett gets up into the outside wall. Big hit for Burkuski, and that's the driver that was stuck on the backstretch right there. And then there you see Lawson spin it out and looked like he'd saved it. I don't know how much damage is on the number 24 machine after that incident.
I think that's a situation where you just want Burkuski to lock up his tires and sit it there and make sure it stays down towards the bottom. If he may have just stayed hard braking, he may have been okay. Wow. I don't know what's happening, but there's a bunch of guys black flag. Nanny just caught the cone hitting pit road, so that may be a violation.
Huh. A lot of interesting things going on right now here at Bristol. We knew Bristol was going to be crazy, but it's getting a little crazier than we even thought. Bam! Some pretty decent hit for Lawson, it looked like right there. I don't know how sustainable that damage is going to be. Figure all of this out. It looks like I
don't think they explained the fact that they only have to drive through a single pit road. So Jake Miller has been hurt by this.
Wow. This field just got turned on its head.
Yeah, we're gonna have to catch all this back up. What I can say is Nanny and Henry are still 1st and 2nd. Mons is still 3rd. Hunter Madalinas is still up there in the top 5. However, Ashton seems to have lost a few spots. Sam Hoff has benefited from this. Lewis Woodall has moved up into 5th. So Miller didn't drop too far back. He's back there in about 8th or 9th, but I think they had to sort all that out on the first pit stop here. I'm just kind of interested they're pitting on lap 50. I mean, I guess I didn't check how many tire sets they had, but I figured they would have tried to last a little bit longer, but they've only had a couple cautions. We've had some solid green flag 20-lap runs here, so I think they're just trying to get those tires in and maybe just make it a two-stop race from here with 100 and 150. But we'll have to see how this sorts out.
This is just craziness. The only thing that stayed the same pretty much is Daniel Nanny is your race leader. Zach Henry is going to be on his outside. Following him on the inside is going to be Justin Mons. You have Madalinas, who's going to be on the outside of row number 2 on this restart. I'm definitely going to be watching for someone like Madalinas to maybe make a move for the lead. Madalinas has shown some speed, and he's looking to get another win on the season, Elliot.
Yeah. Quick note, Gavin Fitzgerald looks like he may or may not be done from this one. He's still sitting on pit road. He pitted under green, and I think he may have pretty much called it done. He's already 8 laps down, so potentially the end of his playoff hopes tonight at Bristol as we take the green flag here. Pace truck hits pit road.
Green flag is waving for Daniel Nanny. Daniel Nanny has led pretty much the whole race so far, 54 laps in, and he has a great restart, but Zach Henry and Justin Mons are going to battle it out for that 2nd spot. And there's some heavy battles going on around 6th on back.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch his group. Shane Neiswanger, Tyler McClellan, Steve McLean, Jake Miller, and Jacob Bransky. All these guys were really trying to close in the leaders before, and now they're all caught up around each other in massive groups of trucks that they weren't anticipating with these pit stops. So It'll be interesting to see how this works out. Dustin Visser's also up here.
Hey, Dustin Visser has been involved in a couple of accidents already so far, but he's found his way up here with all that madness that came on pit road. He's found himself up here in the top 10. Ross Brockman's up here in the top 10 as well now. Anderson Bowen's up here. You have some drivers you don't usually see up here right now. Ross Brockman trying to continue this consistency, though.
Mons is cleared. Lewis Wood also. Your top about 6 or 7 are all clear. The first battle's going on for 9th with Brockman and Dustin Visser. And then back behind them, you've got Jake Miller, Jacob Bransky, Shane Neiswanger, Tyler McClellan trying to clear Anderson Bowen, who's losing spots on the inside.
Yeah, very hard battle between Woodall and Mons right here. And Woodall's going to come up right in front of Sam Hoff. He's going to clear him going into turns 1 and 2. Hoff's going to dive to the inside and try to get underneath Lewis Woodall going into 3 and 4, and he will. Woodall's going to try to hold the high side, and looks like he's going to get the run off and try to hold on to the position for now. Mons are going to try to drive away and catch up to the top 3.
I like this new Lewis Woodall we have. He's really competitive. He's showing what he's got, and he's up here trying to race for a top 5 spot. Meanwhile, someone that we haven't mentioned a couple laps, Ashton Lawson, under the clutches of Ross Brockman now. Lawson looked like he was potentially one of the faster trucks out there, and now he's starting to fall back behind these guys. I didn't know if maybe he'd save some tire and try to make his way up there, but Brockman's putting on a bit of a show back here, and you got to wonder if Ashton's maybe just suffering from some top end damage.
Look who's already entered the top 10 again. Jake Miller in the number 4. He's coming. Jake is coming in that number 4 machine. He has a very fast truck here tonight. He might have the fastest truck. There you see, is that Lawson coming to pit road?
Yeah, again, nothing for him to lose or gain here. No big deal. The biggest thing for him is him pitting. This might cycle him back with the reset. Remember, when these guys reset, they reset the first guy in points ends up with the points lead, and then it's a -1 point from there. So he doesn't want to lose too many spots, but if he's going to call it quits, which I believe he just did, that's going to be a huge loss for him points-wise, and he will not end up being your first seed going into the next round.
Yeah, Lawson looks like he's going to exit the race early here today in the number 24 machine. A lot of damage to that machine, but like you said, and like I've said, he's already locked into the next round. So the only thing he necessarily has to worry about is seeding. He's already locked into the next round. He'll be part of that round of 8 here in the Great Lakes Truck Series. And here you see Jake Miller, who's really trying to be part of that round of 8. And here you got Hunter Brittle and Eric Keph back here who are battling pretty hard. Keph came into this race 11 points to the good. Hunter Brittle was 1 point out. So Brittle's trying to get those points made up.
Too close, continuing to go backwards. He's multiple laps down now, running about 19th. Or I'm sorry, 27th. He started the race in 19th. So still a frustrating run for him. He's just going to have to hope that more guys end up having issues. But these guys have caught Brandon Barkuski and this group, little Sam Hoff and Lewis Woodall. It looks like maybe, I don't know who's holding who up here, but like Lewis and Sam are having a really solid battle. And now Brockman and Miller are there. Barkuski looks like he may have some slight engine damage as well, so he's going to hold up the outside lane. And these guys are going to have to work their way around. But it looks like Lewis may just be holding these guys up.
Oh, contact! There goes Sam Hoff! Sam Hoff! Jake Miller!
Shane Neiswanger!
McLean with heavy damage. Oh, no. Oh, and they're still crashing. Dustin Visser crashing through. And Visser gets into Neiswanger too. Neiswanger's season's done, it looks like. Sam Hoff with a destroyed 17. It's a junkyard off turn 2 here at Bristol. Wow, a lot of anger on the radio from a lot of drivers out there. You hate to see it. We're still in the first half of this race here at Bristol Motor Speedway, and a lot of destroyed trucks out there already. We're going to take a replay here.
If you want to see an angle, the cockpit of Tyler McClellan is probably one of the most crazy angles you'll see. I mean, it just cleared out right for him, but I think what happens here is there's just this mix-up between Lewis Woodall, Ross Brockman, and Sam Hoff, and they all want the same spot, and they just all kind of collect.
Wow.
I don't really know what. I mean, Jake hit Brockman, but I don't know how that really caught Sam.
Wow. That was craziness right there, and the craziness continues here at Bristol Motor Speedway. That was a heavy incident, a huge accident. A lot of drivers involved in this accident.
Yeah, you'll see slow-mo here as well. Watch the contact between the 52 and the 4, and then that takes the 17 with him, and Jake just, I mean, there's nowhere for Jake to go, and Shane nowhere to go, and McClellan's just in the right place at the right time to be able to avoid that where nobody else really can. You see Brandon lock it down, turn left, but I think he's going to potentially get hit right here when these guys pile in. Nope, he actually made it out pretty clean. So, man, I don't even know what you call that.
I call that complete and utter craziness here at Bristol. But what else do you expect? Taking another look at it here in slow-mo.
Yeah, drivers are talking about lack of patience, but I just don't know where Jake was supposed to go in that situation.
That was
I
just
think
huge. More playoff implications here.
I think Miller was trying to get to the outside of Brockman and he just caught him the wrong way. And it would have been fine if Brockman and Sam didn't actually make contact. That's what really killed a lot of these guys, even the guys that piled in a little bit later. I mean, Sam's truck just sitting there, there's nowhere for anybody to go. And Sam really shouldn't have been involved. I mean, that should have been just Brockman getting spun to the inside, and I don't really know what that turned into.
It's just a real nasty accident here. Still in the first half of the race. And just a lot of playoff drivers have already been involved in a lot of madness here today, and we're only halfway through this thing.
Well, regardless, I believe we're going to go ahead and go green once again. Your top set of guys hasn't really changed. It's still Nanny, Henry, Mons, Madalinas, and Brockman in your top 5.
Nanny's going to lead him down to the green flag. The pace truck is about to pull off, and we're going to go green flag racing once again here at Bristol Motor Speedway after caution number 4. The green flag is in the air. Nanny decided to pick the high side this time, and Zach Henry is going to fall in right behind him. And now you have a battle for the 3rd spot as Madalinas is trying to clear Mons off turn 2. So far, so good. Here you see Daniel Nanny's to lead in the field. Zach Henry's right there behind him. No one's been able to make that pass on Daniel Nanny yet. Nanny running almost a perfect race in that number 30 machine. Zach Henry right behind him, though. He's been right here in the top 3 pretty much all day long.
Yeah, it's been pretty impressive to see Zach Henry up here. Justin Mons as well has been super impressive. But don't count out guys like Hunter Madalinas, Jacob Bransky, and old Ross Brockman's moving his way up there ever so slightly. So we'll see what these guys can do. I mean, there's a lot of fast guys behind Nanny and Henry, but they've definitely been in full command of this one.
Mr. Consistency back there, Ross Brockman, running in the top 10 right now, having a good run right outside the top 5. That's really all he needs to do to get into the next round. Came into this race with what looks like 13 points above the bubble. So that's 14 points to the good right there. So that's a pretty good gap right there coming into this race.
He definitely had one of the best gaps. Another guy coming in here with a really good spot was William Barbagelata back there behind Kevin Watler and Eric Keph here, running about 11th or 12th. So Eric's on fresher tires, I believe, which is why he's making these passes back here. But Barb in a good spot, too. Just needs to finish this one out. Nice top 15, get it home, call it done. Everybody around him has had an issue. So, you know, Nanny getting his win here, if this happens, it doesn't really affect Barb. It's just one guy. So Barb just running a nice, clean race after his incident early on. Just going to try to probably bring this one home. But again, we're still over halfway through this one. We've got a long way to go. We're only on lap 82 out of 200, 120 laps to go still. Plenty of time for stuff to happen. Meanwhile, Jake Miller, Ashton Lawson battling back there. Lawson multiple laps down, 25th, but Miller already back up to 12th. Looks like he tried to keep it on the lead lap, and he's still got some power in that thing, so we'll see if he can make some gains.
Jake Miller is going to keep on going until the engine blows up for sure. Right now he's in the 12th spot. I don't know where that would put him when it comes to the playoffs. It would definitely be very close, as he did come into this race 8 points outside. And you also have to keep in mind, Daniel Nanny, he's currently in the lead. So if he wins this race, everybody moves back, because Daniel Nanny came into this race 12th in points. So that moves everybody back 1 spot.
Yeah, the positive for Miller is that guys like Gavin, Durr, Duclos have all had issues, but everybody directly around that bubble, you know, between Madalenas and I was trying to Brittle. I keep forgetting Brittle have been running solid around these guys. So it's it is one of those situations where half of them are running really well, the other half are running relatively poorly, and we'll just have to see who ends up falling out the worst. But I guess for a safety net, if you're someone like Jake Miller, or I mean, it's really just Jake Miller who's so far out, you really want to be up inside the top 5. But all these other guys, because you know that Niswanger is essentially out, you know that, you know, Duclos has had his major issues. It's more or less, you just want to try to make sure that you can gain as many spots as possible and just see where it all lays at the end of the day.
And something I'm gonna be watching for this whole race pretty much is what we're looking at right now, because Zach Henry and Daniel Lanny kind of look like they're the class of the field here today. Someone like Daniel Lanny, who came into this race 14 points outside of the bubble, it's going to be really close to make it in on points for him at this rate. If he finishes in second spot, Zachary Henry maybe steals a win away from him, or another driver like Justin Mons steals the win away from him. That would play a huge spoiler as you see these drivers approaching lap traffic right now.
Zach played that really careful. It actually hurt Mons. He didn't want to go 3 wide, and unfortunately for him, that's just kind of where he ended
blown
up.
up on the inside. That was who they just passed on the inside. Tyler McClellan, number 44, Dr. Pepper machine, has a crushed can coming onto pit road right now.
Yeah, him and Wattler actually made major contacts. He spun with Ashton Lawson to the inside, but it was all on the apron, so no yellow. But Tyler McClellan's day is ultimately done with that. I believe him and Wattler just kind of netcoded. It popped his rear tire up. A lot of netcody type issues going on tonight, where accidents that shouldn't have been as bad as they were ended up being really, really bad. So we're going to hopefully pull up a replay for you momentarily. Here it is. You can see, I mean, they're just both trying to go for the same space, and unfortunately enough contact was made that it completely killed Tyler, and Ashton, an unfortunate bystander in that incident. I'm sure Ashton's glad he got that win, though.
Like Barbagelado might have been a little bit involved with that as well. I mean, he might have gotten a little bit of extra damage that he already had. But yeah, definitely a good thing that Ashton had gotten that win last week. A good time to get that first career win, huh?
Yeah, definitely perfect timing. You can come in here and not worry about anything. A lot of these other guys are really starting to bite their nails on what's going on with everybody else. Guy we want to talk about, Eric Keph, on the camera right now, driven his way all the way up to 4th. Trying to double check and see if maybe he's on fresher tires, but he definitely has made a lot of ground up recently, and he actually is. He's on 20 lap fresher tires and all these other guys, so he may have pulled a different strategy out of here to see if he could put himself up in the top spot. And he's still making up gains on Nanny, Zach, and Mons up here in 3rd.
This is a great move from Eric Keph right here, because a lot of these drivers were probably thinking we're going to get a bunch more cautions, and we've gone, what, 25 laps almost without a caution. So this is a great move from Eric Keph as it's looking right now, as he's driven himself, like you mentioned, up to 4th, and he's really catching up to this top 3 fast. He's going to be in Mons' bumper by the time we go into 1 and 2 next time by.
Yeah, it was a good time to give that a try. And I believe there's other guys on that strategy. It looks like Nick Hansen as well has done that. He's also on about 20 lap fresher tires. So a couple of guys starting to make their way up through here on that strategy. Jake Miller is also on the strategy, but I think his issue is really just the engine damage that he may or may not have done to that truck. He's not moving up as quickly as these other guys, so he obviously doesn't have the pace still in that truck that someone like Eric Keph or Nick Hansen has.
Nick Hansen coming from the field as well. He's driven himself up to the 8th spot. I think this is his first. I think this might be his debut or his first race of the season in that 62, and he's having a good race so far.
Meanwhile, Keph has caught the rear of these guys. He's right on the back of Justin Mons now, who's also pressuring Zach Henry. We almost had a situation right there too. Eric wanted to look to the inside, but Mons wants to try to make this pass. Eric gonna play it a little bit safe.
Yeah, definitely a very smart move from Eric Keph, which is what we expect at this point from the 63 machine. Very smart driver in that truck, and that's one of the reasons why this strategy has kind of put him up here. taking those fresh tires, and now he's up here battling with the top 3 guys in the 4th spot.
Yeah, quick update. Nanny will be able to pass Shane Neiswanger regardless. Wow, Bonds and Eric make a little bit of contact there maybe, but Shane Neiswanger has left the building. So regardless, Nanny will at least gain a spot there, and Bristol can sigh a little bit more relief knowing that Miller's basically his biggest target behind him. Of course, if Nanny still wins, it's still an issue for Bristol, but I know Bristol would feel a little bit better if Eric can get up here, get around Nanny, and ultimately help him out a little bit.
Nanny leading the field as these drivers are coming through lap traffic. Keph has moved himself up to the 3rd spot after getting past Justin Mons, and now he's trying to find a way past Zachary Henry. But he's at the point where these tires have fallen off a little bit, where it's just so hard to make the pass on the inside with someone up high. It's so hard to complete that pass. So we'll see what Eric can maybe do as he looks to the inside, but he's going to think better of it for now.
Yeah, right now at Duclos and Fitzgerald having the race they're having, Jake Miller may actually be in as well as Bristol, and Gavin and Duclos could both potentially be out. I'm not going to do the math in my head, but Duclos was only up by about 10 points coming in here, and he was only about 16 points ahead of Jake. Duclos currently running 29th, Miller all the way up in 12th, so or 11th now. So if it were to end, it'd be incredibly tight around that line as you're still watching this battle with Eric Keph trying to work his way around Zach Henry.
The way I'm looking at the current standings on the track, and Jake Miller is in 10th, Aaron Duclos is in 27th. So if the race would end right now, Miller would be 1 point behind Duclos.
Yeah, this is best case scenario for someone like Jake, and I know Shane's probably incredibly frustrated he's out because he'd be in the same scenario, but you got to think even for someone like Nanny, I mean, to think that he could potentially point his way in, if he drops back to 2nd and doesn't win, he could still maybe do it, you know? Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility, so I know Nanny knows nothing about the points. He's not thinking about it. He just wants to get out here and win coming in as the last guy out, but it's a potential.
Rewind for 2nd.
It's a potential thing that Nanny could make it in on points. As this battle's just not going away, but I think Eric's used his stuff up, and Zach Henry's showing his long-run pace with Justin Mons here.
I don't even know if that's necessarily the case. He's definitely used up his stuff to a certain degree, but like I said, once you get to a certain point on these tires, it's so hard to pass somebody on the inside when somebody else is using the high side. So I think he's just maybe hoping Zach Henry maybe gets out of the way, or he finds the perfect run to the inside. I don't know if this run that he had right there is going to work. Looks like he's going to jump right back up high in front of Visser.
Yeah, Visser on fresher tires. I believe he had a green flag pit stop, so he's trying to work his way through here and just gain a lap back the traditional way, but obviously doesn't want to affect any of these guys' race. He looks like he may clear Mons here. He may also have some engine damage, but being cordial about trying to make his way through here. As Barkowski's going to go another lap down. Really just a frustrating night for the 42 truck. Obviously involved in that spin, no telling what kind of damage was actually sustained to that truck, but obviously something that's not letting him keep pace whatsoever.
You hate to see it for the 42, one of the drivers you expect to be up here battling in the top 10 at least, if not up in the top 5 for the win. Has had a very tough day from the drop of the green flag in that number 42 machine as he goes another lap down. I think he's now 4 laps down in that number 42 machine. As you see, Eric Keph right here in the 3rd spot, just can't quite get to that 2nd spot as Dustin Visser on those fresher tires are going to get past him pretty easily. Now Visser's going to set his sights on Zachary Henry and try to get that lap back from Daniel Nanny.
I was going to say this may benefit Eric, but it looks like Visser's going to clear Henry at the wrong point for Eric. I think Eric may have just used up his stuff at this point because you got Mons back on his bumper. He needed to be a little bit more careful getting up through the field and not wasting his stuff out, or maybe 20 laps just isn't enough. But regardless, he's learned now, and he's going to be able to cycle to the front whenever the next yellow comes out, or whenever these guys do pit, just pit with them. Make sure that you don't mess up your fuel strategy, and then just know, all right, well, 20 laps isn't really enough to go out and get these guys in the long run. I don't have that type of truck. So at least he's learned a little bit that he can put in the bank and save for later, but right now he's giving himself a shot at a top 5 truck and potentially, a shot at a win later on with the positioning that he's in.
One thing I'm pretty curious about, because I'm seeing drivers come down pit road at this point, when are pit stops, how long can these guys really go? Nanny's pitting, so I guess about now.
Yeah, I mean, that was about a 70-lap stint, so that makes sense that maybe they can only go about 70 laps on fuel. I thought it'd be a little bit closer to 80, but 70 laps on fuel slash tires. That means that they'll all be able to go from here, I believe. No, if they can only do 72 laps, they're about 10 laps short. So I would imagine that these guys would try to run it all the way out. We'll see what Zach Henry does, because if they can't run all the way through, then these guys are going to be short on fuel, unless they're short pitting here and they can make it. Wow, Gabriel Truesdale almost made contact with Ross Brockman. That was something. Henry is coming down now. He's 75 laps into his run, so he should be able to make it from here with no more stops. This is his last stop if this goes green. So I believe that Zach's on probably the best strategy here. It just kind of depends what all happens.
Me personally, I'm staying out as long as I can, and that's maybe one of the reasons why we saw Eric Keph take those tires, because a track like this, it's so hard to make those green flag stops without a caution coming out. So many people on different strategies, different sets of tires. There's no reason why a caution can't come out here and really change up this race right now, because I think there's only 4 guys on the lead lap right now if the caution came out.
Yeah, it takes a lot of patience to do this, though. People like, you know, even what Zach did takes a lot of patience to just know that you're going to be slower than everybody on track and just wait it out. You've got Eric still on track. He's going to be your leader for the next good bit. It just depends when he wants to do it, but he's going to bank on a yellow. I guarantee it. He's going to stay out for these old 20 laps or so that he can go and try to get to about lap 150 and then just call it done. But the scary thing is you're losing so much time by staying on track. You've got guys like Justin Benda up in the wall here. He's going to have to lose a bunch of time, let Jordan Gonzalez go as he lets Benda recollect himself. It's not really the best situation to be staying out on track, but if a yellow comes out, he's your leader, and all of these guys are trapped laps down. Not just one, laps. I mean, there's 15 guys. 4th to 15th are 1 lap down, 16th on back are 2 or more laps down. So Eric's just going to try to hope that all these guys end up a lap down. There's 2 guys on the lead lap right now, Eric Keph and Samuel Hoff.
Yeah, if the caution would come out right now, Eric Keph would be your golden boy. Daniel Nanny's trying to at least get back up there and maybe get his lap back. Justin Mon, Zach Henry. It's not out of the range that these guys can get their laps back within the next few laps. They're only, what I'm looking at it, maybe a quarter of a lap, maybe almost a half a lap behind the race leader right now.
Wow, Aiden DuPont and Gabriel Truesdale just made some contact. I thought that was going to be pretty major. Everyone's still going, but there is just always that chance that something happens.
Anything could happen here. We're near the end of this run. I'm just watching Nanny just continuously drive up on Eric Keph. He's only about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds behind now, about to get his lead, his lap back. And here comes Keph onto pit road. There's almost an accident. That was very close. Whoa. That was scary.
Now, the thing with this is you got to wonder how much time he gave up staying out for those 15-ish laps that he ended up going. He knows he can make it on fuel here, but I almost wonder if all of these guys know that they can make it on fuel regardless. I know Nanny kind of short pit, but the fact that Henry stayed out as long as he did, if Henry went full tank, he's good. If nobody else went full tank, I don't think they can go 80 laps. And if they can't go 80, they pitted with just about, I think it was 76 or so to go. So it'll be interesting to see if these guys can last this. Sam's going to come in, and that'll reset your pit stops here. And
Nanny.
Eric came out just behind Nanny, but it puts him a lap down. That's how much ground he lost on that strategy. An entire lap to Daniel Nanny.
Oh, but he's going to drive right past him here in a second. You're going to go see him go to the inside. He's going to drive right around him. And he's going to need to just get as much time back as he can in that 63. He's going to be running some very hard laps here.
It's great that he drove around him right now, but he was your 4th place truck. He's back to 12th, just hanging on to the lead lap. So definitely the opposite strategy of what I would have anticipated. Again, if these guys can't go the rest of the way, Eric's in a great position. If they can all go the rest of the way, this strategy just hurt Eric with no yellows.
Here comes Wattler trying to get his lap back as well. He's going to get past Mons, who's in the second spot. Wattler's trying to get up to Nanny and get his lap back as well. DuPont, it's not too far back. It looks like he's trying to get up there as well and get his lap back. There's a couple of drivers that are on this Eric Keph sort of strategy. But Daniel Nanny is currently your race leader with around 60 laps to go here at Bristol Motor Speedway in the Patti Engineering 200 and an elimination race for round number 1, the round of 12 or the round of 13 in this case for the Great Lakes trucks.
Yeah, there's only 3 guys 1 lap down. Sam's one of them. It's Anderson, Bowen, and then Kevin Wattler. If Wattler can get his lap back, I'm not sure exactly where Bowen is, but Sam will need to get around Bowen and hope that Wattler gets his lap back so that Sam can be that lucky dog candidate if a yellow were to come out, or Sam's strategy has completely gone up in smoke. Meanwhile, everybody else is 3 or more laps down. Barkowski going a 4th lap down here. Matthew Durr is already 4 laps down in 18th. Other playoff notables, Ashton Lawson, again, won last week. Not really a big deal for him. 24th, 30 laps down. Shane Neiswanger involved in a wreck earlier, 27 to 73 laps down. Aaron Duclos, 29 to 75 laps down, also involved in a wreck. With Gavin Fitzgerald, who is 30th, 99, now 100 laps down. So I believe Duclos and Fitzgerald have called it quits here. And that only helps someone like Jake Miller, who has now driven his way up to 6th. This needs to work for Jake Miller to make it in, and it is so far.
Yeah, most likely if the race would end right now, I'm pretty sure Jake Miller would be in the next round with all the issues had today with Neiswanger and Duclos and Gavin Fitzgerald all having their issues here today. That really sets up someone like Jake Miller, who's having a good run. I wouldn't say a fantastic run. He's been in a lot of issues here today, but he's having a good run, and he's kept on coming back. He keeps on finding his way back up here in the top 5 or 6.
Yeah, your interesting guys are going to be Brittle and Durr. Those are kind of the 2 guys that are now on the bubble. Gavin's essentially out. Madeline is probably good, but it's going to be Brittle and Durr because Durr is running back in 19th, 4 laps down. He needs to gain spots here. Meanwhile, Brittle is 8th. That's an 11-point swing. They came in differentiated by
11.
only 4 points. It was 13 to 17.
Oh, I'm looking at Miller. My bad. I was looking at Miller.
Correct. So they came in about 4 points apart. So that moves Durr out and puts Brittle in. So you would have Jake and Brittle going in, Durr and Gavin falling out. Don't forget Duclos is also way back there. Duclos could potentially fall out. If Shane didn't get eliminated early on and he could have ended up right where Jake is around that 7th, 8th spot, he could have pointed his way in too, potentially.
So this
However, with the 30 truck still leading, all of that goes out the window.
Oh yeah, that all goes out the window because everybody gets pushed back at least 1 spot with Nanny winning the race. But I already know someone like Duclos is kind of hoping that we have that madness in the second half of these races that we usually have. Today's been kind of opposite. The first half was madness, and the second half has been very calm.
The problem is if Nanny wins, I believe that leaves Jake the odd man out unless he has enough points over Durr and Duclos. But again, Duclos came in 16 points ahead. Duclos is 29th, so he would still essentially be out. Jake may literally be able to point his way all the way in, and Nanny would be able to win, flip-flopping 2 guys that are arguably championship favorites that nobody could have thought could have made it through this race.
Yeah, coming into the round, most people that I heard from, Jake Miller was their favorite. Me personally, I picked Daniel Nanny to win this championship, and if he doesn't win this race, he's quite possibly could be eliminated. So this is definitely some craziness here in the first round to have so many championship favorites be in trouble like they are. Like Hunter Madalinas came into this race on the bubble.
Yeah, luckily for him, everyone else that came around on the bubble are behind him. For Hunter Madalinas and yeah, I mean, Hunter is in the best spot. He looks ahead of him. There's 1 playoff guy in front of him, and it's someone that he literally doesn't need to care about. He's got everybody behind him, including Jake Miller. There's nothing out his windshield that he needs to care about. He just needs to run this race, get his top 5, and just thumbs up to himself. You did good, kid.
Yeah, points, and that's what Hunter's doing right now. He might not be the fastest truck out there, but he's been running in the top 5 pretty much the whole race, and pretty much has one of the cleanest, if not the cleanest truck out there right now.
Madalenas is just trying the Elliott Henderson strategy of winning 5 or 6 races in the regular season and then just not winning a single race in the playoffs and making his way all the way through to win the championship. So pulling off the strategy nicely, running top 5 right now. Still in on points, one of the biggest movers as well. So we'll see how that works out. Meanwhile, Eric Keph up to the top 10 once again, started 20th. He got his eyes on Gelada, Brittle, Brockman, all not too far up the hill in front of him. And those are all spots. So we'll see if he can keep plugging away. But again, he took a 4th place truck, and with that strategy, he's back to 10th. So I just got to question really staying out as long as he did. I don't think he anticipated the tires meaning that much, but they have meant a lot.
Tires are real important. You see Eric just kind of stuck back here with Brittle. Looks like Sam Hoff's back here, Gelada. Kept trying to get these positions, and I know Brittle especially is not going to give up a spot that easy. He's fighting hard. He even got a little into the wall in turns 1 and 2. It looked like Brittle did. Fighting real hard just to have as many points as he can, because he knows every point matters right now for him.
Well, yeah, that matters a lot for Brittle, but the other side of this is Gavin's back on track. He's got 3 guys in front of him. Duclos is sitting on pit road. I'm not sure if he's out yet. McLean is also sitting on pit road, but it looks like he's done as well. Shane has left the session, and he's about 10 laps ahead of Gavin. So there's positions for Gavin to gain, even with that beat-up truck that he's got. He could make it up as far as about 26th or 25th here. So it looks like Visser and McClellan, Nogel, all of these guys are essentially out. He could get potentially as far up as 24th, depending on what that speed is for Gavin. But right now, just trying to be a trooper and gain about 4 or 5 points and hope that that's going to be enough.
And Nogel's a little too far ahead on when it comes to laps, but he can definitely get to Visser and McClellan still. If those drivers stay off track and Gavin's able to run at least somewhat decent laps, he can get up to the 25th position. That could really make it very close. That could make it even closer for a driver like Gavin and all these drivers that are right around the bubble. It's going to make it very interesting, even more interesting than it already was. You see Madalenas look like he got a little into the wall there as Jake Miller gets past him on the inside.
Yeah, the other thing is Brockman came up past both of these guys. Brockman's on the same strategy as Eric, but he pulled it differently. Again, we see Hunter's going to hit pit road. I mean, I didn't figure these guys would have to pit again, but this is where that strategy comes in. If they have to pit, Zach Henry's the only guy that went as far as he possibly could, it looks like. And if that's the case, Zach Henry's going to be your big winner here.
Honestly, Hunter might be trying a very interesting strategy here. I think he is getting 4 tires, because remember when we were discussing... Oh, and they're wrecking! Nanny! Oh my god! Daniel Nanny! Oh, wow! This is the biggest moment in Great Lakes Truck Series history right here. It looks like he's blown up. Nanny is very
absolutely
upset.
Killed.
He dominated this race. He's led every lap pretty much of this race. And he's all of a sudden spun out and blown up. Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
Mons was in that as well.
Let's take a look at this. Oh, wow. Kind of just looked like Truesdale turned right across his nose. Truesdale came into that wreck 113 laps down. Wow. I ran out of wows, Elliot. I've said wow too many times.
I mean, I've just been speechless. It's so... This reminds me of who was it that hit the wall in the Nationwide Xfinity, National Series race with Kyle Busch that was leading and just came across his nose and they both got completely killed. That's all I can think about here. It just, I don't even know what really happened. I think Gabe just saw Brittle, got nervous. Nanny was just going to force it 3 wide. I don't know what you're expected to do in that situation. You got to feel for Daniel Nanny. He was just trying to clear lap trucks, and he had, guys all around him. There's nothing else he could have done. Maybe just brake check and stay behind Gabe, but you can see the closing rate that Nanny has over these guys. He's so fast. He's just trying to go, and then
just turn.
Yeah, there's nothing that Nanny really could have done besides just stay behind Gabe, but with how close he gained on him in the corner, I feel like if you're Nanny, you run over Gabe going into the corner, not knowing where he's going to break. So I don't know what Nanny could have been expected to do, but that's going to be a ton of engine damage. That truck is ultimately killed, and Jake Miller can go ahead and smile now. And I think guys like Hunter Brittle that don't want this line to change can also have a little bit of a sigh of relief. Brittle actually going to benefit a lot from there. He's going to be right around that fifth, fourth position. Um, I think some of these guys actually ended up staying out. So very interesting situation that has happened here with that incident.
Just craziness. I just feel really bad for Daniel Nanny. Nanny put on a show here tonight. He needed to. He almost basically needed the win to get into the next round. It was gonna be very close, even if he finished second. And now he can really kiss those championship hopes goodbye. And it sucks for him, Elliot. It just sucks.
Yeah, we talked about it all night. I thought, for sure all he needed to do was finish this one out. You could always go back and say, man, why wasn't he just more patient trying to get around those lap trucks and stuff? But again, the closing rate that these guys have, the situational awareness that, Gabe had to Hunter Brittle there, it just bit him, honestly. It looked like he could have just gone 3 wide or something. You never really know what's going through anybody's head, but to me, Nanny looked like he was just going to try to go 3 wide, clear him, and he probably would have had him cleared by the middle of the corner and then just driven on by and left, Zach Henry with a mess. But what's done is done. Zach Henry's your leader. Ross Brockman somehow makes his way up to second, fresher tires than Zach Henry, and we're going green.
And Zachary Henry, he's now going to be your race leader. He's been running second most of the race, and now he's going to lead the field. He's going to try to immediately pull away from Brockman. Brockman's on those fresher tires, so he might be able to get up there and put up a real fight. And now you have Hunter Brittle up here in the top 4. William Barbagellata, look at the dog. You got the dog in 5th.
Yeah, I said fresher tires. These guys actually all pipped that last stop, so everybody's equal now. But you can see that's where Brockman's strategy has worked out for him. He's short pit, better than what Eric was able to do. So Eric's mired back there in about 6th or 7th. Not a terrible strategy. Still has a top 10 truck out of it after starting 20th, so it's still a benefit for him. But he's mired back there compared to Brockman, who's up here in 2nd trying to track down Zach Henry. Brittle making the best of what he can tonight. He's on that cut line. Jake Miller directly behind them with Bransky. I mean, all these guys up here have something to race for, mainly besides Barb and Brockman. They're solidly in, but Brittle and Miller need this race to be as clean as possible to the end.
Oh, and Bransky. There goes the dog. He just got bounty hunted. Oh, no. Eric Keph, look like he got involved in that. I don't know how severe his damage was.
He hit him pretty well.
Car's not blown up, and there isn't that many cars on the lead lap, so he might have a lucky break.
Speaking of lucky breaks, Kevin Watler stayed out there.
Oh, Eric's immediately on pit road. He's immediately pulled on pit road. There might be something seriously wrong with that 63.
He definitely has engine damage from the way that he contacted him. He's probably just going to use this to repair as much as he possibly can, but not go a lap down. Staying on the lead lap is just going to save him. I mean, that'll be a top 10 finish if he can just manage that, because Bransky's going to go a lap down here. Kevin Watler got his lap back. Like I said, Kevin Watler started this race dead last, and he has driven his way all the way up to the top 10. He's survived all this stuff, and now he's running 7th, still on the lead lap. So Kevin Watler just trying to make this thing work, and now he got his lap back there. So we'll see if he can continue to press forward. But Eric is just going to have to try to survive this. Again, he's not in a bad spot. He came in about 11, 12 points above Hunter Brittle and Hunter Madalinas for this cutoff spot. So all he needs to do is just make sure that this truck doesn't blow up. If he can stay on the lead lap and finish this one out, there's 20 laps left. It shouldn't blow up at that point. Finish this one out in the top 10. He's probably good. Again, a lot of these guys are behind him, like Durr, like Duclos, like Fitzgerald. It's not a big worry to him. He should be fine.
Just another accident to add to the list. Caution number 6 here at Bristol Motor Speedway with just under 20 laps to go. And there's your playoff standings coming into this race. I'm just gonna peel apart each one of these drivers real quick. Lawson's had his troubles, but he's already locked into the next round. William Barbagellata, he's had a lot of issues, but he's driven himself back up to 4th. You have Ross Brockman, who's had a very good day, running 2nd. Eric Keph just involved in the last incident, but he was able to stay on the lead lap. Aaron Duclos has had a lot of issues today, and he's most likely going to be outside of the bubble after tonight. Matthew Durr has had a decent amount of issues, but he's remained in the top 20 most of the night, currently in 17th, a couple laps down. Gavin's trying to make up some spots right now. Hunter currently is the first guy 1 lap down in 10th. Hunter Brittle's up here in the top 3. Jake Miller's in the top 5. Nicewanger's day is done. Nanny's day is pretty much done as well, and Sensi was not here tonight.
It's a lot to recap.
Yeah, it's been a crazy night, to say the least, here at Bristol Motor Speedway, but we expected it. 200 laps, an elimination race, and a lot of angry drivers, a lot of rivalries already brewing coming into tonight. So not very surprised to see as much madness as we have seen tonight. We're going to go green flag at least one more time. Just under 20 laps to go here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Zachary Henry is going to decide to pick the high side. Ross Brockman's going to be down low. Barber Gelada is going to be right behind Henry, and Brittle's going to be right behind Brockman. Pace truck's about to pull off. Pace truck's coming down pit road, and Zachary Henry's going to lead him to the green flag once again here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Barber Gelada with a great restart. Looks like he might be able to jump over Brockman and take second.
Brittle Miller Gonzalez battling back for that 4th spot there. Watch for Wattler and Eric Keph here. Both of them on the freshest set of tires, about 10 laps newer than everybody in front of them. We'll see if that actually comes into play at all. Again, Eric seemed like he kind of drove through his tires the last time with about 20 laps fresher, but he also had to drive up a lot more spots in about 7th or 8th. I think he came from about 15th to 20th the last time he did this. So we'll see if those 10 lap fresher tires can do anything. But he's only got about 15 laps to work it out, so he's got to get going if he's going to do it.
You know, keep in mind, I don't know how much damage is on that 63. Just from seeing him on the straightaways, it looks like he has some significant engine damage, like you mentioned. That truck is not moving on these straightaways like it should. Wattler just drove right past him.
Again, not a big deal for him if he can just, you know, survive it. All of these guys that are really running around that bubble are either right around him or plenty gone behind him. So not a big deal for him if he can just salvage a nice top 10, top 15 finish. The big battle here is literally the 10 and the 4. That is your bubble battle, and Brittle being ahead of Miller right now isn't beneficial to Jake. I think Jake wishes that Brittle was back there about 5-6 spots behind him, but I think between Duclos, Durr, and Fitzgerald, Jake may still come out of here with enough points. We'll have to double check it.
Yeah, this is a very significant battle right here between Brittle and Miller. And just to point it out, Gavin is making up these spots. I don't know how close it's going to be, but with Nanny not leading the race right now, that could really change things for someone like Gavin Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Gavin's moved his way all the way up to 27th from 30th. That puts Shane behind him and Duclos behind him. So what helps Jake is that Duclos has lost all amount of points. He came in about 18 points ahead, and Duclos running 28th to Jake's 4th or 5th right now is plenty for Jake Miller. Brittle should be able to jump Madalinas and Gavin. It's just the question mark of, did Gavin lose enough points to go behind Jake as well? And it looks like it, because again, Gavin's lost 23 points to Jake tonight. So massive swings, but we'll have to see how this sorts out. There's still guys on fresher tires trying to get around Jake, but closing in on 5 laps to go, and nobody closing in on Zachary Henry for this win.
Yeah, Henry's put on a great race here tonight. We've seen a lot of great races from him this season, but he's looking to get the job done here today at Bristol Motor Speedway with just under 10 laps to go. Coming to 6 laps to go this time by at Bristol Motor Speedway. Zachary Henry in the number 77 looking to play spoiler.
Still watching this battle between Jake Miller, Hunter Brittle. It's getting pretty dicey. Jake knows he needs to try to get this spot, but he's also got Gonzalez right there. Wattler's right there. Hunter Madalinas is joining this battle.
Oh,
Jake
there he
gets
goes.
loose. He saves it. Oh, my God. See, that's what Jake doesn't need. Just finish this out, bud. Just take your 5th, 6th place position and call it done. He's getting aggravated at Jordan, but they're entitled to their race too. They are very much entitled to run their race. It's up to you to try to finish this one out, Jake. Don't get too distracted.
And Jake really trying to get to Brittle, trying to get a little aggressive with him, and Gonzalez is right there on his inside and almost was an incident off turns 3 and 4. And here comes Miller once again, going to have the run on Brittle. Can he complete the pass? This could be very huge when it comes to the points in the bubble.
he has that run. He just can't get the turn off the corner. He's going to dive it down there this time, but he just can't do it. He's going to have to really try to clear up. But if he can at least stay side by side with him for 2 laps and just not let Jordan get back to him, he should be okay with this top 5 finish. But he may be able to sneak 4th with how good he is on the bottom there.
I'd like to mention that Gavin has officially moved himself up to the 25th position, and that will be as high as he can get. Final lap for Zachary Henry. Zachary Henry looking to get the job done. He's ran pretty much a perfect race, and with Nanny getting taken out, he picked up the pieces, and Zachary Henry gets the job done with another win here in the Great Lakes Truck Series. And it looks like Miller's going to get the 4th spot away from Brittle, and Brittle's going to edge Gonzalez. And Miller's begging on the radio to see the points. This is going to be really close because Madalinas has finished 10th as well. I think Eric Keph is safe in that 9th spot. I think he is clear. Brockman should be clear. Barbagelada should be clear as well. It's going to be very close for Matthew Durr as well. Matthew Durr finishing 17th.
I think Duclos and Fitzgerald lost way too many points tonight. I think they may both be out. The big battle is going to be between Duclos, Durr, and Fitzgerald because they were all so close. Is Durr going to make up enough points to jump over Duclos? Durr finished 17th. Duclos was 26th. That's a 9-point swing. They came in separated by about 8 points. So, oh my, they're just so close. I think Jake and Hunter jump in. I just think Duclos, Durr, and Fitzgerald all jump out, but I don't know which one actually would stay in because 3 can't go out.
Well, it's going to be extremely close to see who gets in to the next round of the playoffs, who gets into the round of 8 here in the Great Lakes Truck Series. But we also don't want to put past a great win from Zachary Henry, who ran pretty much a perfect race all night in that number 77, Elliot. He just ran perfect, and once Nanny had his issue with Truesdale, it was all Henry.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can grab an interview with him as we're waiting for points to be updated, but an incredible drive by Zachary Henry. But at the end of the day, you got to feel for the 30 truck of Daniel Nanny, who came in here with a single agenda to just win this race, to put himself in, and the most unfortunate circumstance of any situation possibly happened with Gabriel Truesdale unfortunately making contact and ending Nanny's night championship hopes and any chance he had at potentially winning this race.
Yeah, you hate to see it for Nanny. Nanny definitely had the strongest truck all night and most likely would have ended up in victory lane if it wasn't because of the issue with Gabriel Truesdale on the back stretch. So we all here feel for Daniel Nanny. Daniel Nanny, you had a great race. If you're watching and you deserve to have won this race, you put on a great show, but sometimes that's just how it happens, unfortunately, with racing, especially here on iRacing. But I think we're going to be able to get our interview from our race winner. I'm going to try to get him in here. Let's see if we can get him in here. There he is. Zach Henry. Kyle Short up in the booth. You got me?
He's currently muted.
Zach Henry, Kyle Short up in the booth. You got me?
Give him a second to work out his microphone issues.
Y'all hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
Sorry about that. Push to talk caught me.
All good, all good. Great race, Zach. First, I want to commend you on just having such a clean race for Bristol. What was maybe going through your mind in those last few laps when you were leading the field?
I hope nobody wrecks. No, that was really about it. I absolutely love this track, so I was really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, Bristol's always a lot of fun for me personally. I love Bristol. It's one of my best racing tracks as long as I'm not caught up in accidents. But you were able to stay in front of pretty much all the accidents all night. What was maybe going through your mind early on in the race when we were getting accident after accident?
At that point, I wasn't too worried about speed, but I was worried about how, pit strategy would fall. What happened to Daniel Nanny and Justin Mons was unfortunate, but if it wasn't for that, it was going to be a fuel mileage race, and I would have been right on the money. And if I would have fallen short, then I think Eric Keph would have ended up winning the race. But I mean, it was just kind of what to do with tires and pit strategy and all that stuff. It makes it real hard when there's a lot of cautions because you don't want to get stuck really anywhere behind maybe fourth or fifth place because it's an absolute wreck fest as always here at Bristol.
And that seemed to be the key was to stay out of the incidents, and for you, it was just stay in front of them. But you were talking about that incident with Daniel Nanny. What maybe went through your mind when that incident had happened with Nanny and Truesdale? Did you think in your mind this is my opportunity to get this win and get this dub?
It definitely opened the door, and that was, I mean, that's kind of exactly what I was thinking. As long as I could get on and off pit road without screwing anything up or without having to slow pit stop or anything like that. If I could come off pit road in the lead, then I knew I had the speed to hold on to it. And I wasn't too worried about that, just as long as I wouldn't make any silly mistakes.
Yeah, that was the key to victory, and you really did everything you needed to do to get the job done. Anybody you want to thank for your victory out there today, Zach?
First and foremost, my wife for taking over baby watch every week when I am able to run these races. It works a little overtime because I already work long hours, but she is willing to do it. Undercurrents, as always, for sponsoring the car. Go check those guys out on Apple Music or wherever you listen to your music. And then the broadcast booth. Y'all always doing a great job, and it's always a absolute blast to go back and watch all the races.
Well, we appreciate the shout out, Zach, and we hope to maybe speak to you again next week, whether it comes to the truck or the cup cars.
Sounds good. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Zach. Have a good celebration tonight. That was Zach Henry, your race winner. And while that was going on, we did have an update when it came to the points. So here we go. Let's go through the points real quick. William Barbage. Oh, we're even gonna get a little ghetto graphic here. Ooh, Jeffy setting it up for us. Look at this. William Barbagelata, he has advanced into the next round. Ross Brockman has advanced. Eric Keph has advanced. Look at Hunter Brittle. He got himself all the way up to fourth in points. He advanced. Lawson advances off that win at Watkins Glen. Hunter Madalinas advances. Jake Miller advances. And Matthew Durr advances by just 2 points over Aaron Duclos. Wow. Very close there at the bubble between Duclos and Durr. You got the feel for Duclos. Duclos was able to maybe salvage two more spots out there on the track. He would have gotten into the next round. Matthew Durr had a very tough day, but was able to get out of the first round after finishing 17th here today, Elliot.
Yeah, I think that's the perseverance from guys like Hunter Brittle, from Matthew Durr to sit there and make sure that they can still get the finish that they needed to get through to the next round because like you said, I mean, all I needed to do was just get one or two more spots. And unfortunately, it's not going to work out in their favor. So Matthew Durr is the guy that ended up just persevering through that and made it out when his other two competitors, Aaron Duclos and Gavin Fitzgerald, had the night that they probably feared the most coming into this one. But um, I think the biggest talk is just gonna be the fact that Jake Miller, on top of a 20-point penalty or whatever it was a couple of weeks ago with whatever incident, has persevered through this round and is able to move on to the round of eight and get himself ever closer to championship. So we'll have to see exactly who can come out on top over the next three races.
Yeah, Jake Miller definitely put on the most impressive first round, in my opinion, after coming back from that 20-point penalty after spinning out Christopher Heller, which at Chicagoland, I think it was. He was able to come back from that and get himself into the next round of the playoffs by only 5 points. So great job from Mr. Miller, Mr. Jake Miller, able to get himself in to the next round, but definitely a great job by the other seven competitors that advanced to the next round. And of course, we got to mention the drivers that were unfortunately unable to make it into the next round. I mentioned Aaron Duclos coming just 2 points short. Gavin Fitzgerald came 11 points short of advancing into the next round. Shane Neiswanger and Daniel Nanny and Michael Sensi also eliminated. You have to feel for Daniel Nanny, as I mentioned, put on a dominating performance here at Bristol, just put on a show and just wasn't able to get the job done after the late contact with Gabriel Truesdale on the backstretch.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the hardest story is going to be on Nanny, who I think everybody knew had the field covered, led probably close to 170 laps tonight. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, lap traffic doesn't always go the way that you want it to. And that's why Bristol is the way it is, man. I mean, it'll come up and bite you as quickly as anywhere else. And Daniel Nanny learned that the hard way very far through the race, albeit, but definitely learned it the hard way tonight. Super unfortunate. And hopefully he can come back next season a little bit stronger and try to turn that luck around.
I think we're gonna maybe try to get an interview with our third place finisher. It looks like William Barbachelata. We're gonna try to get him up in here. He was able to advance into the next round, and he is the points leader heading into the next round of the playoffs. Can't seem to move him. I don't have my moving roll anymore. There he is. William Barbachelata, Kyle Short up in the booth. You got me? Wrong button, William. William Barbachelata, Kyle Short up in the booth. You got me?
Radio channel 2. May have messed up our
I see him
Discord
lighting
channel
up
in
on
here.
I see him lighting up on iRacing. So he's trying to talk. Just might not have the button quite set up, but William's able to put on a good race, and I think the way the
Alright,
seating works. There he is. There he
you
is.
guys got.
William,
Sorry, I didn't know what my push to talk was. There we go.
you're a good man. Great race out there, man. You were caught up in an incident early, and a lot of us thought you might be dead and gone, but you were able to come back from that and just continue to push forward. It ended up coming home with a podium finish in third. How did you do it?
Yeah, so my strategy, being plus 17, I just wanted to stay out of trouble, which I didn't do at all. So that was not cool. But yeah, getting involved in an incident on lap 3, I mean, I think it was my fault. I got to go back and look. So I'm sorry to Brittle for that. And then I don't know, it was just an up and down day the rest of the day. I was ended up way back and just slowly worked my way up. And then later I got into Bransky, so I'm sorry to him also. That was 2 mistakes I made. Probably gonna have a penalty for Nashville next week. But I mean, in the end, I'll still take P3. Sorry to everyone that I, you know, messed with their nights, but it still ended up, I guess, being a good one for me.
He put on a great race, and you're first in the points. So I'm pretty sure you'll be seeded as the first seed heading into the next round. A very consistent, maybe not necessarily an exciting round for Mr. Excitement, but you were able to just have put on consistent runs throughout these last 3 races.
Yeah, and next week Nashville, I haven't raced, so I don't know how that's gonna go. Talladega, I mean anything could happen, and then Martinsville's again a short track where there's probably gonna be a lot of incidents, so it's gonna be really an interesting next round. Definitely starting the points in or the next round in first in the points is gonna be a big benefit, so I gotta use that to my advantage and I guess stick with the strategy I was with this round. Just keep it clean, don't get involved in too many incidents, and hopefully we'll make it to the championship 4.
You've been putting on some very consistent runs, some strong runs, and how do you feel about these next 3 tracks that we go to?
Um, I mean, I love racing at Talladega. Normally, there's not going to be as much pressure as there will be this year, so we'll see how that goes. Nashville, I don't know what to expect. Definitely, I mean, it's a new track for me, so that should be fun to learn. Hopefully, I'm good there. And then Martinsville, I won at last year, so definitely like that place, and hopefully I can put it in victory lane again. I mean, hopefully I don't have to. Maybe I'll win one of those first 2 races or be way above the cut line, but we'll see.
Well, we appreciate you talking to us, William. Anybody you have to thank for your performance out there tonight?
Yeah. Well, I just want to apologize to Eric. He got involved in that last incident, ended up making it through. So he's team owner. Thanks to him, you guys for broadcasting, Sam, and everyone for putting on the league.
Well, we appreciate it, William, and we hope to talk to you again next week, maybe after Nashville. Maybe you can figure it out,
Yeah, thank you.
of course. Okay, next, I think we're going to try to bring in Ross Brockman, who ended up coming home in the second spot after another very consistent, clean run in that number 52 machine, even though he got involved in an incident or two, cleaner than most of the drivers on. Let's see if we can get him in here. I can't move him. Ross Brockman, Kyle Short up in the booth. You got me?
I got you.
Ross, another great race out there, man. You advanced to the next round. How did you end up getting up there into that top 5 and competing for a win late?
Well, I felt like I was really good on the long runs, and that long run in the middle there gave me an opportunity to gain a bunch of track position. And when the caution came out, I think I got up to like 6th or 7th. And I think the pit road thing tonight, there's a little bit of confusion as to the single pit roads and how that all works, or double pit roads, whatever it is. And with lap cars and everything, everyone's panicking, trying to figure out where to get to pit road. And next thing you know, I came out and it was I think in second. So I was happy with that. I'll take that. Gave me a shot to at least try to go for the win for sure.
Yeah, you definitely had a shot there late, but you're able to come home with the second place finish and just had an overall extremely consistent first round. Do you maybe take that to the next round? How do you feel about the next 3 tracks that we go to?
I I feel good about it. I think this round here I was really looking forward to tonight because Bristol is definitely my best track. So I felt like if I stayed clean, I'd have a shot to win tonight. And looking at the remaining races, I think I still am going to have some shots, but it's probably not it's not my best track like tonight was with Bristol. So Nashville, I haven't had a ton of experience with just because it's fairly new. Talladega, I think that anyone's going to win there. But yeah, other than that, I think Martinsville too. I feel like now that I've made it to this round, I think you're going to have to win to move on. So gonna have to go win one of them. So we'll figure it out. You guys know me. I'll try some different strategies and maybe we'll steal one at Nashville and just sleep easy the 2 weeks following that.
Yeah, I think that would be the ideal goal there, especially with Talladega right there,
For
because we
sure.
saw the madness that happened there out there tonight at Bristol, and next round is definitely going to be crazy with Talladega and Martinsville. But anybody you have to thank for your great performance out there tonight, Ross?
Well, I will say this: there was a lot of people tonight that were really smart on track, and I wish I could have remembered a couple people that that I even keyed up a couple times, thanking people for getting out of the way. If you get off strategy or you're on old tires or you go a lap down or have damage, it's really nice for people to give you room if you're one of the playoff guys or even just running up in the top 10. So thankful that there's a lot of guys that were fairly clean tonight and gave you room. That's awesome. Thank you guys for broadcasting this. This has been really fun. We're not done yet, but this whole season's been pretty awesome. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, we appreciate you talking to us, Ross, and we hope to talk to you again next week after Nashville with the victory, like you were saying.
Sounds
We'll
good.
hold you to that.
I'll go for it.
All right, thank you, Ross. Now I think we're going to try to get one more interview in here. I think we're going to talk to the one, the only Jake Miller. Jake, you got me?
Yes, sir.
Jake, you were able to get into the next round. How do you feel?
I feel pretty amazing. I mean, Elliot Henderson, he was, your other broadcaster. He's sending me points updates throughout the race.
Yeah, you were putting on a great show, just a very good run, a run that you needed, and you definitely got some help out there with some of those drivers wrecking out. You were just able to get in over the line, even with that 20-point penalty. How did you do it, Jake?
Well, it was more than a 20-point penalty. It was 37. But, honestly, I didn't think I was going to make it all night. I knew I had a top 5 truck, but Nanny and Zach Henry were substantially faster. But when what happened to Nanny, I hate to see it. But, at the same time, I got to jump up and down in my seat and, scream. because that's what I needed to get in. So
Yeah, Nanny having that issue moved you up to the 7th spot in points and definitely shuffled some things up on that late race restart. What was maybe going through your mind late in the race? Were you just trying to maybe get as many points as you can? Were you going to maybe try to go after the win if you were able to?
well, Elliot sent me a message and he said, you're in, just race clean. And, I wasn't exactly sure on if I was in on points or not. So, Hunter Brittle, yeah, I think he was -1 of the cut line. So, just trying to get around him and get that extra point. And, I got bumped by Jordan, but that wasn't really his fault. It was just hard racing. I almost spun, but then I, told him on the radio, just chill out and get around Hunter. And he let me do that. And, I think we ended up finishing 4th, which is totally fine with how Bristol's gone for me in the past because I've never been good here.
Yeah, a lot of drivers had issues, and you had your issues tonight too, but you were able to make it out on top of a lot of these other drivers. Are you looking forward to the next round of 3? We have an interesting round of 3 tracks coming up.
Well, Nashville Super Speedway, that one, I'll be practicing with Elliot, so I think I'll be okay there because 1.5 miles, that's where the 4 truck and the old 37 truck, that's where they shine. But, I think is Martinsville in this round? Because if it is, that's going to
Yes.
be one. That's going to be one where I'm going to have to sit on iRacing for 4 or 5 hours like I did with Bristol and try and get at least somewhat competitive because I've never been good at Martinsville.
You got Nashville, then you have 2 wild cards in Talladega and Martinsville before we go to the championship 4 in Atlanta.
Ooh, Talladega. Well, you just gotta open the Bible and pray for that one. 'Cause that's a toss up.
And it really is anybody's race, and we could have the same madness, if not more, there than we had here today at Bristol with playoff implications. But anybody you have to thank with your great performance in this round of 12, Jake?
Yeah, my uncle Ron, and then obviously my team owner Elliot Henderson, because he practiced with me countless times this week, and he wanted to make sure the 4 truck was going to get in and get a shot at this final 4.
Well, we appreciate you talking to us, Jake, and we hope to talk to you next week after Nashville.
Yeah, I hope I do get to talk to you guys next week too.
Thanks again, Jake, and once again, congratulations on getting into the next round, even after everything you had went through. Of
Thank you, and you guys have a good night.
course, you too, Jake. And that was Jake Miller, who finished 7th in points when it comes to the first round of the playoffs. So he advances to the round of 8, even after his penalty, after getting in the back of Christopher Heller a couple of races ago. Elliot, any last thoughts before we check out?
Yeah, just thinking about the points right now. I mean, if Nanny would have won, Durr would have been out, and if Shane could have had a top 5, he could have been in on points as well. So Durr needs to, I think, go give Gabriel Truesdale a little bit of a thank you and kind of count his blessings that he was able to survive this one. I know he's been fast all season long, but man, he's scraped by tonight. And unfortunately, it comes to an end for 5 other drivers, but 8 continue on. So you could always talk about the what ifs, but man, how about the fact that we've got 3 incredible tracks up next with Nashville, Talladega, and Martinsville. Sam does a great job of putting together a schedule that is tricky for each driver throughout the playoffs here. And I think you've got 3 tracks that, at least 2 very unknown tracks, because not a lot of these guys have run Nashville, and Talladega is as, with this truck package, it's as crazy as it comes. It's hard to push. It's hard to really do anything, but they'll run 3 and 4 wide easily because the runs come so easy. So, and then you've just got Martinsville, which is probably going to be Bristol version 2, and a lot of people getting their feelings hurt, and 4 guys being happy, and the other 4 guys being brutally upset. But man, I'm pumped for these next 3 races, and I'm excited to see what we can do. And I'm running Nashville, so I get to play spoiler there next week.
These next 3 races are definitely going to be exciting. The next 4 races in general to end out the playoffs are definitely going to be a set for sore eyes for some drivers, because next week, like you said, we go to Nashville Super Speedway, which is a track that really eats up tires for sure. Then we go to Talladega Super Speedway, which has been mentioned multiple times. It's really anyone's race as long as you run the race, you run your own race. Then we have Martinsville, which could be just like today at Bristol, even crazier. And then we end out the season in a classic way at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So it should be a very exciting next 4 weeks here for the Great Lakes Truck Series. I would like to once again congratulate Zach Henry on his phenomenal victory out there today, and congratulate those drivers that were able to make it into the next round. And I would like to say goodbye, and once again thank you all for tuning in. Tune in next Tuesday where we will be at Nashville for the opening of the round of 8. Then tune in Thursday as well for the Great Lakes Cup Series here on the Flatout Racing Network. Once again, congratulations to Zach Henry on winning the Patti Engineering 200 at Bristol. Good night, everyone.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.